Hi, and welcome to Zero Talks Movies. This time around, I have the whole bunch of new releases from Imprint, a box set in a series that I really enjoy, a couple of other movies, and one of the Imprint Asia releases for this month. Let's start with the heaviest and the most historically accurate of the releases this time around. The 1976 historical film about a real-life event that occurred in 1939 when a ship called the MS St. Louis travelled from Germany to Cuba, full of Jewish refugees who wanted to leave Germany and the Greater German Reich for very good reasons. The history of this particular voyage, Voyage of the Damned, is really interesting because here's a spoiler, but it's only the only one you're going to get. The people were never intended to be released and given refuge in Cuba. Germany had set everything up so that they could move this ship around and nobody would take the refugees. And then when they returned to Germany and things occurred to them, like being put into the camps, no country in the world could be righteous enough to say that shouldn't happen because they had the opportunity to give them refuge. Didn't play out like that, and I'm not going to do spoilers on the results. This is a very, very important historical movie and a political movie. So there it is. It's one of those movies that has a ton of stars in it, and the stars are all in there doing good work, and it's obviously a movie that meant a lot to the people who were starring in it. I mean, the cast is just incredible in this. Faye Dunaway, Max von Sydow playing the captain of the ship, Oscar Werner, Malcolm McDowell, Orson Welles, James Mason, Lee Grant, who does a fantastic job, Catherine Ross, Ben Gazzara, Luther Adler, Denholm Elliott, Jose Ferrer. You could go on with Fernando Rey, Leonard Rossiter, a whole bunch. I mean, the cast list is just fantastic. Jonathan Pryce is in there as well. This is a very, very heavy movie. It's probably going to be triggering for some people. And I know a number of Jewish people who don't watch movies like this because of that. Imprint have put out a really good release of this, which has two different versions of the movie. You know, this often happens with these kind of movies. There's a theatrical release, and there's also a special features disc with an extended version of the movie, which runs 182 minutes. So inside the box, you get the usual flip-top box, and you get that one, which is the standard release, and you get the extended release as well. That's an incredibly powerful piece of film art there on the cover. Inside you get the photograph from the movie, and you get a close-up of a lot of the actors there. The standard release version has an audio commentary by cinema author and critic Matthew Asprey-Gear from 2024, a photo gallery and a theatrical trailer. The extended version has an audio commentary with Daniel Kramer and an interview with the cinematographer Billy Williams and an interview with Malcolm McDowell about his experience making the movie. I don't know whether it's been released on Blu-ray before anywhere. I haven't seen it on Blu-ray anywhere. And I think it's very timely to release a movie like this, particularly with the rise of fascism in various places around the world at the moment. And it's good to know that where fascists have the upper hand, there is nothing they will not do to prevail. And I think it's a good reminder for us to have, to remind ourselves exactly where fascism historically has gone and what it's done and the ways that it manipulated opinion and tried to manipulate reality. And it's a solid release. It treats the movie with respect. I don't know if the movie was incredibly successful at the time, but it was nominated for a number of awards, including some acting awards as well. The acting is first class in this. Directed by Stuart Rosenberg, who did things like Cool Hand Luke. Yeah, I haven't watched this one again yet, but I have watched it in the past. And when I did watch it back in the day, I think I saw it on television, it had a profound impact. It's really a movie that punches you in the guts. I'm glad that Imprint have put this one out. Next one's a movie I've got ambivalent feelings about. I think it's good at what it does, but I've got a proviso on that. It's from 1977, so like Voyage of the Damned, it's a 1970s movie. More of an action film than anything else and a political conspiracy film, but it does involve astronauts and space travel. It's Capricorn One, with Elliot Gould, James Brolin, Brenda Vaccaro, Sam Waterston, O.J. Simpson, and Hal Holbrook, plus with Karen Black and Telly Savalas doing a nice little role as a crazy pilot. And again, this is a movie that's got two different versions, an extended cut and a theatrical cut. The story's pretty simple. There's a 3-man mission going to Mars, and just before the rocket takes off, the guys are taken out of the spaceship and hidden away because there's something wrong with their rocket and the life support system isn't going to function, and NASA is having trouble getting funding from the government, And so they've decided they're going to fake the landing on Mars. And they get the astronauts to go through that. They've got a stage set up where they fake the Mars landing. But then, as the spaceship's coming back to Earth, it burns up on re-entry. And so the guys are superfluous to needs. And so they escape, and they're trying to get away. Meanwhile, a journalist, played by Elliot Gould, is investigating the slight inconsistencies in the narrative that's been given to them. And it turns into a big chase with government conspirators trying to stop the astronauts and trying to stop Elliot Gould's character. And it's a little bit parallax view in that way, but it doesn't end up prevailing. I'm going to give you my qualm about this. This may have started, or at least encouraged, the people who say the moon landing didn't occur. It's got that kind of vibe about it, and I find that incredibly problematic and incredibly dismissive of the guts and the hard work of a lot of people, Armstrong, Aldrin and Collins, for a start. Leaving that aside, it's a good actioner from 1977. A lot of fun, a lot of good actors in it, and O.J. Simpson. This is a limited edition, of course, and it's got the two different cuts. It's got a theatrical cut with audio commentary by the director Peter Hyams, Flight of Fancy, The Politics and Paranoia of Capricorn One, a vintage featurette from the time, What If, The Making of Capricorn One, another vintage featurette, On Set with Capricorn One, more vintage stuff, a photo gallery and a trailer. The extended cut has audio commentary with film historian and filmmaker Daniel Kramer and Daniel Walters from 2024, Conspiracy Busting, an interview with the actor Elliot Gould from 2024, Confessions of an Astronaut's Wife, an interview with Brenda Vaccaro from 2024, How the Capricorn Was Won, Getting the Green Light, an interview with the producer Paul Lazarus, again from 2024, A Lady of Wondrous Abandon, Remembering the Incomparable Karen Black from 2013, and Orchestrating Conspiracy, movie music guru Daniel Schweiger on Capricorn One score. So all of that's there on the back. On the back, you got three astronauts who escape in a desert. And inside, you got that one which shows you the lander and the faking of the Mars landing. Odd that they're using Apollo technology there, but they probably got it from NASA. There's the back with all the same information on it. There's the disc and the astronauts done up in their astronaut cosplay. There's the extended version with different artwork. And there's Elliot Gould with Telly Savalas. And the disc is different as well. Like I said, this is a good 1970s actioner. Lots of stunt work, lots of tension, and lots of paranoia and conspiracy theories. You've got to remember this is a few years after Watergate, so political paranoia was big. But again, it leaves that bad taste in my mouth regarding people who benightedly don't believe that the moon landing occurred, and a movie like this would only encourage, which I find a little bit problematic. And it was the reason at the time that I didn't like the movie when it came out. It's 1970s action. It shows the kinds of entertainments that people were watching, roughly at around the same time the big hitters were hitting, like Jaws and the big tentpole movies. They were still doing actioners like this. That then brings me to the Imprint Asia release. This is number 7 in the Imprint Asia releases. It's a movie from 2000, made by one of the great 20th, 21st century Japanese directors and actors, Takeshi Kitano, Beat Takeshi, its brother, from 2000, which is a film that Takeshi made partly in Japan, but also partly in Los Angeles. And it's the story of a yakuza guy called Yamamoto, whose yakuza gang or yakuza empire that he's part of gets destroyed. So he flees to America and decides he's going to build himself a yakuza style gang in America, taking over the drugs and the other scams and the other businesses from Mexican gangs. So he puts together a crew. He builds it in the style that he's familiar with. He and his gang come up against the locals, basically the Mexican cartels and the Mexican gangs from Los Angeles. And his crew start getting taken out one by one by Mexican cartels. Really interesting film. Also stars Omar Epps. It's got a number of different good actors in it. James Shigeda's in it playing one of the Japanese guys. James Shigeda, of course, played Takagi in Die Hard. So inside, you get, and I love this artwork, you get that as an alternative artwork. I really love that style of art. Oops, wrong way. There's the crew. And the extras are pretty solid too. You've got an audio commentary by film critic and author Mark Schilling from 2024. Inscrutable, film scholar Aaron Garau on Takeshi Kitano's brother. Seen by the Sea, the life and cinema of Beat Takeshi Kitano, which is a documentary. It's a documentary about Beat Takeshi. Making of archival featurette, behind the scenes archival featurette, and 2 trailers. Beat Takeshi is a really fascinating guy. He didn't start out as an actor. He started out as the funny guy in a 2-guy comedy troupe, what's called in Japan a man's eye comedy thing, where you've got a straight man and you've got a funny man who talks ridiculously. And Takeshi was the funny guy in a man's eye team, worked the nightclubs in Asakusa, and only later on did he become a serious actor and make his own movies in the style he wanted to. He also did things like Takeshi's Castle, a Japanese game show, which is a forerunner in so many ways. So it was everything up to Squid Games. I find it fascinating that this guy started out as the silly comedian. He started out as the Jerry Lewis of a comedy team and ended up being a fantastic writer-director. He did a lot of good movies. He did How That Be, he did Sotanin, whole bunch of really solid, grounded movies. This isn't the best of Takeshi's movies, but it's a really solid one and it's very approachable because it's got that location in a more familiar environment being Los Angeles. It's a good catch by Imprint Asia, and it's a movie I've seen before and I want to watch it again too. Any of the Takeshi movies you can find are going to be fantastic to watch. You might even remember him from Battle Royale in 2000, where he played the school teacher who quite graphically teaches the children what's going on with their Battle Royale. As soon as I saw that Takeshi was this teacher in this movie, I thought, shit's going to get real, and indeed it does. One of the great Asian actors of the last 50 years, and somebody who had his own unique vision for cinema and continues to do so. He's got a movie coming out in 2025. Love Takeshi, love his work. If you can see this one and then move on to things like Hanabi and Sonatine, you're going to have a good time and you're going to really learn a lot about a particular kind of Japanese cinema. That's a recommend from me, definitely. Next, you've got one I've been looking forward to because I've got the other 3 in this series and it's always delivered. And each time Imprint puts out another box set in this series, they hop genres and they come up with something totally unexpected, but totally wonderful. It is Tales of Adventure Volume 4. And all of these are movie serials from the 1940s and from the 1950s. They're all by Republic Pictures. Most of them were directed by the same guy, Fred C. Brannon, who was Republic Pictures' guy to make movie serials. And I find movie serials are fantastic and a fascinating part of movie history, where there are 12 to 15 part serials which were shown each week in a cinema, so that people, in order to follow the story and to resolve the cliffhangers at the end of each episode, would have to come to the movie every Saturday or every whichever day and see the movie serial as well as seeing the feature picture. And Imprint have put together a really good sampling plate of these. You've got King of the Rocket Men, Flying Disc Man from Mars, The Invisible Monster, Radar Men from the Moon, Zombies of the Stratosphere, which stars in a small role Leonard Nimoy in one of his first movie roles, Mysterious Dr. Satan from the 1940s, and Commando Cody, Sky Marshal of the Universe. These are a lot of fun. There's the back with a ton of details, and I'm not going to go through the details, but I will put some music up and freeze frame that so you can see them. The only thing I will mention on the extras is King of the Rocket Men, the first one in the series, has a commentary by Heath Holland from Serial at Midnight YouTube channel. Heath's a great guy. I've supported his stuff for a long time, and I've had a chat with him once or twice online. He knows his stuff and he loves these kind of serials. I mean, things like King of the Rocket Men were the original inspiration for things like The Rocketeer, both the comic books and the movies. And I've already watched King of the Rocket Men, all 12 chapters of it, where a guy with a scientist invents a suit that enables him to fly. He's got a helmet, he's got a rocket backpack, and he's going up against a guy called Dr. Vulcan, who is stealing some very, very powerful technologies in order to blackmail New York City for $1 billion. Otherwise, he will destroy the city. Each one of these covers has 2 discs in it and 2 series. So there's the first one, King of the Rocket Men. On the back, you've got Flying Disc Men of Mars. The next one, you've got The Invisible Monster, Radar Men from the Moon, Zombies of the Stratosphere, Mysterious Dr. Satan. Love that robot down there. It's so dildo-like. And the last one has Commando Coney, Sky Marshal of the Universe, which in the 1950s was intended as a TV series, but Republic decided to put it out as a movie serial as well, right at the end of the era of movie serials. So there's the front of the box. Fantastic artwork there. I'm fully on board with that. That's so much my jam as far as 1940s, 1950s science fiction is concerned. In the back you got Leonard Nimoy as one of the aliens in Zombies of the Stratosphere. That guy got stereotyped, but there are a ton of extras on these, and I've looked at the first one, King of the Rocket Men, and the quality of the print is really bloody good for something that's 75 years old now. I'm really impressed with the quality of it. I haven't been able to check them all and see the quality of all of them, but if they're anywhere near as good as the one for King of the Rocket Men is, they are a fantastic addition to anybody's collection. And if you're a science fiction fan, which many of the people watching this channel are, you're going to have a great time just diving into these serials. The thing I've found is you're going to fast forward through the start of most episodes, because most of the start of all of the episodes are a recap of what just went on right up until the cliffhanger that ends every episode. They're great fun. And yes, there is some repeated use of footage, particularly of the Rocket Men zooming around the place. They did it a couple of ways. They had a guy on wires and a couple of wires whipping across a valley. And sometimes they used a dummy. That footage gets used a lot of these. But there are some interesting plot twists. There are some scenes in King of the Rocket Men where they're inside a cave and then the machine starts acting up. It starts melting the wall of the cave. And they do some really impressive special effects work to demonstrate the cave melting and then having molten lava, which they use lead or some kind of metal, down a miniature set. It's all done really effectively, and it really punches well for its budget and for the limitations of time that they had in the thing as well. There's some great stunt work in all of these. They're just a joy to watch. They're not in any way to be taken seriously, and they can get a little repetitive with the beats hitting in each of the episodes and the format being quite a restrictive one, but they're joyous to watch and you can just dip in. I watched all of King of the Rocket Men in one sitting, and yes, I did fast forward through the start of each episode, but I enjoyed them. I like the way that they show us things in the resolution of the cliffhangers that you don't see in the first half of the cliffhanger, all of that kind of stuff. Great box set, and this is the kind of stuff that nobody's going to put out as individual movies, but they're going to put them out as box set compilations of all of these movie serials. And I want to see more of this kind of stuff. I think there's a market for it, and you're going to get science fiction movie fans on board, and they're just going to really enjoy having this in a beautifully put together box set with a ton of extras. And like I said, I showed you the extras, just marvelous stuff, and it should be in your collection. I know a number of people who are really excited about this release. So there they are, 4 big releases from Imprint this month. Very different genres. I mean, you've got a historical drama, you've got a 1970s actioner, you've got a Beat Takeshi movie, and you've got all of those Republic serials, which are science fiction, with a whole bunch of extras that contextualize the phenomenon of movie serials in a great way. Just a fantastic release, and this one particularly is so left field and so wow for me that I really appreciate it. And it's the sort of thing that I want to see more of from Imprint. I like them when they do science fiction because I'm a big science fiction buff, but I like it when they find things that aren't necessarily science fiction, but are definitely outside the norm of the kind of things that people are releasing in various markets from various companies. So again, thank you very much to Imprint and Biovision for giving me these review copies to review. Terrific work. Thanks a lot. You people are doing incredible work there, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future. And there are some fantastic releases coming up, particularly in December, from Imprint that are going to be in everybody's letter to Santa Claus. Let's just put it that way. So that's it for this time around. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Tell me which ones of these you like and which ones of these you're going to get, because they are limited editions, so they're going to eventually sell out. Get in while you can, and it's always good to get onto the mailing list as well, because that's where you got to find out about what's upcoming, and you can get in before they sell out. You can also support the channel, by the way, by donating as a channel member, or else by becoming a patron at patreon.com/ youtube.com/Cherry Talks Movies. Next up, I've got Science Fiction Saturday, and there's going to be a double feature in that. And then we go back to Monday and the Wednesday videos, and another Science Fiction Saturday. It's endless fun on this channel. So until all of that stuff rolls through, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies, watch some Leonard Nimoy, and I'll catch you next time.